These are all strategies to level up our team. It's all about team building. Once the team is in place, as they start tackling real tasks, they'll face a ton of hurdles and roadblocks. Our job is to foster team growth. So, how do we nurture team development? First, identify the team's key challenges. Pinpoint what's holding them back. The roadblocks to success. Once you map out all these challenges, remember, resources are always finite. You only have so much energy to spare. So what's the solution? We need to prioritize these challenges. By ranking their importance, we address the top priorities first, then work our way down the list. Makes sense, right? It's all about order of importance. Once we've got that sorted, the next step is to use our connections to put our solutions into action and overcome these hurdles. In many cases, let's say you're facing a bottleneck in the process. I might need to call Director Lu. Or you might discover that the client keeps delaying their payments. We might need the business team's involvement to negotiate with the client. Or we might need procurement's help to resolve the issue. So he uses different approaches to help the team overcome challenges. Take some people for instance. He's frequently tied up in meetings for days on end. However, these meetings are often unrelated to his core responsibilities. In such cases, it's up to the project manager to intervene. They need to negotiate with the meeting organizers, proposing alternatives for future meetings that don't require his presence, while still meeting their objectives. This approach relies on strong interpersonal skills to clear roadblocks for the team. This exemplifies the essence of servant leadership. We'll delve deeper into this concept in our Agile discussion. Finally, through ongoing reassessment, we ensure team challenges are addressed. These hurdles don't just appear once and vanish forever. They may pop up again unexpectedly. That's why in Agile methodology, we implement daily stand-ups to sync team information. We review yesterday's progress and plan today's tasks. During the execution of these tasks, we discuss any hurdles or roadblocks faced. This is explored more thoroughly in Agile practices. As a servant leader, embodying servant leadership, your role is to help the team overcome obstacles, challenges, and barriers. Moving on to the 8th task, negotiating project agreements. Regarding this task, in practice, project managers often lack experience in this area. It's not really part of their job description either, to handle negotiations. But it's good to have a basic grasp of it. When it comes to contract signing, there's always some back and forth between the parties involved. So, these negotiations are all about coming to an agreement that works for both sides. The goal is to create a win-win situation. But, first, figure out what's on and off the table. To strike a deal, what are your specific responsibilities? What are my specific responsibilities? What's within our respective scopes? What's outside our scopes? What are the deliverables and deadlines? What's the budget your manager needs to allocate? Second, assess priorities and set the final objective. In other words, what needs to be done? In many cases, what's the core issue? What's the top priority? Focusing on value creation. This is a key principle in Agile methodology, an approach centered on delivering value. Next, we define the project scope by clearly outlining all tasks. Third, verify project goals to ensure they're achievable. This is crucial for final project acceptance. Once the project is finished, during the acceptance phase, we must define acceptance criteria based on the contract terms. So we evaluate based on the terms of this agreement. We check if the agreement's goals are achieved. We look at the contract's requirements and see if they've been met. There's also another point. Taking part in agreement negotiations. The agreement might cover a lot of ground with all sorts of specific terms. We'll need to negotiate these points and figure out our negotiation strategy. So what kind of strategy? Well, there's one really interesting approach. It's like haggling when you're shopping. When you're haggling, if the seller won't budge on the price, you say, never mind, I'll pass. I'm out of here. As you turn to leave, they'll call, wait. That's a strategy too. It's about creating leverage. Now, obviously, in actual business negotiations, this walking away tactic, when it comes to our industry, in specialized certification tasks, we don't cover or touch upon. This is a distinct field of expertise. Let's discuss the negotiation project agreement as our next task. Moving on to task 9. Stakeholder collaboration. How can we effectively work with stakeholders? The first step is to take initiative. We must address the key requirements. Start by getting a good grasp of their needs. So, the first step is this. We need to evaluate the stakeholders' engagement and expectations. In other words, they might have various functional requirements, performance expectations, communication preferences, reporting needs, and so forth. We need to dig into all of this. We need to know when he might get involved in the project, support it, or reject it. We should also consider potential obstacles. The clearer our understanding, the more effectively we can help resolve issues and mitigate risks. Now, the second point is to align stakeholders' needs, expectations, and project objectives. Basically, if their needs don't align with the project goals, to some degree, you need to guide them and find common ground. That's the idea. And finally, build trust and sway stakeholders to meet project objectives. So, in essence, what's our game plan? Engaging key stakeholders means winning their support to strengthen their backing for the project and gradually minimize resistance. As resistance drops, support grows, facilitating project success. So how do we gain their support? It's crucial to create an atmosphere of trust. So, focus on building trust. This is a key project management skill. And that's our 9th point. Let's talk about collaborating with stakeholders. The 10th task is building consensus. Building consensus primarily refers to resolving misunderstandings through effective communication. As we discussed before, in human interactions, wherever people gather, politics emerge. Disputes and conflicts are inevitable. But, besides major conflicts, minor misunderstandings can also occur. If there's a misunderstanding, when misunderstandings occur, we often say it comes from uneven information. When information isn't evenly shared, it can lead to many misunderstandings. We should first analyze what causes the misunderstandings, using root cause analysis, by using a fishbone diagram, 5 whys, and similar methods to analyze. The second step is to consult with all stakeholders to find common ground. When misunderstandings arise, we need to get everyone in the same room. This approach to conflict resolution helps manage disagreements by building mutual understanding and accepting the agreed outcome. Once we reach an agreement, the decision made should be honored by everyone. Don't sit there quietly during meetings. Bringing it up after the meeting is the most irritating approach and gives everyone a headache. Don't you agree? Once a decision is made in the meeting, the agreed upon points must be respected by all. We can then address any potential misunderstandings. In other words, we need to keep addressing misunderstandings continuously. This could potentially result in various unexpected situations and further misunderstandings. We need to take appropriate action. We must continue to identify and resolve these issues. Task 10. Establishing consensus. Moving on to Task 11. Engaging and supporting virtual teams. Now we're introducing a new concept. Virtual teams. The key feature of virtual teams is we're all working, but not in the same place. We connect through calls, video chats, and emails to collaborate and stay in touch. This is what we call a virtual team. As you might guess, the main characteristic is that team members are often geographically dispersed, spread across the globe, and so forth. The key benefit is it minimizes costs while maximizing resource efficiency. However, it does pose communication challenges. Let's discuss virtual team engagement. Let's examine. First, evaluate team member requirements, individual needs, their potential locations, how to implement this effectively, a way to connect and interact. Internet access is essential. Some kind of digital boards are needed. Various online communication tools are necessary. These systems for online interaction. Next, gather feedback from virtual team members on their current alternative approach to find out what effective tools and methods can help them. If they fall short, what other options do we have? Is it possible to leverage other company staff in a centralized workspace to tackle specific issues? Implement strategies for virtual team members to participate in various optional plans. In other words, when virtual team members brainstorm together and develop solutions, these can be put into action. Okay, one last point. Keep tabs on your virtual team members. Monitor how effectively they're contributing. If someone's performance is slipping, or they're not up to par, you need to reach out and have a chat with them. Try to help them get back on track. You know what I mean? Often, it's just a lack of good communication that really brings people down. And when morale drops, the whole situation can turn a bit stagnant. But we should ensure continuous small victories, consistently making progress, fostering perfect teamwork, even when apart. We're in sync, as if telepathic. That's virtual team collaboration. Now, onto the 12th task. Establish team ground rules. Rules are the foundation of success. Let's set these guidelines in stone. In interpersonal relationships, we need to establish some ground rules. Consider our team dynamics and our relationships with stakeholders. We should align on organizational principles. This defines our code of conduct. These fundamental guidelines, such principles, must be followed by everyone. This covers reporting procedures, proper reporting methods, and phone call protocols. How to run meetings effectively. Then, when it comes to coding, what comments to include, how to upload files, then the check-in and check-out process. All these procedures have their own set of guidelines. Alright, so, create a culture of following these rules. Sure, the rules are in place, but you know, a positive environment can naturally encourage people to follow them. A negative environment, it brings out people's darker side. Don't you think? Why not create a positive environment where people naturally want to follow rules? Rule breakers face consequences, and rule followers get rewarded and appreciated. Good. Everything works out perfectly. Finally, we need to address rule violations. So, if someone breaks the rules, they'll face consequences. On the flip side, if they follow the rules, we can acknowledge that, and maybe even offer some rewards. This is about Rule 12. setting the team's ground rules. Rule 13 is about guiding the stakeholders. Now, these stakeholders, when they're involved in the project, they bring their own ideas and perspectives. But sometimes, in certain situations, we need him on board with this too. What if he's not up to speed? It's up to us to show him the ropes. We need to step up as his mentors. So it's not just about leading the team. We've got to guide the stakeholders too. When it comes to stakeholders, we need to set aside time to guide them properly. You got to grab every chance you get to offer that guidance. Keep in mind, there are times when you'll need to be pretty clever about it. When helping others, ensure they feel at ease. He introduced a concept called identification and acting on coaching opportunities. In essence, seek chances to guide and mentor others. This relates to coaching stakeholders. The final point on personnel assessment involves using EQ to boost team performance. EQ, like IQ, is a measure of intelligence, but focuses on emotional management in interactions. To begin with, we can use personality assessments to understand how people behave. There are various personality tests out there, like the Enneagram, for instance, or the DISC model, and the Myers-Briggs type indicator. These all help us understand people better. When we use these assessments, we're not trying to label people. Instead, we're using them as tools to find out what suits someone best, or how they typically behave. This approach allows us to more effectively leverage an individual's strengths. Alright, the next step is to analyze personality traits and make adjustments based on key project-related emotional needs. In other words, you can guide someone to perform tasks effectively and encourage them to take on responsibilities willingly, while ensuring they find satisfaction in their work. Isn't that idea? This is an incredible advantage. It's all about applying emotional intelligence. We can put others at ease while staying comfortable ourselves. I've just taken some time to break down the staffing section. Whether we're talking about leadership, communication, conflict resolution, emotional intelligence, meeting management, and more, all these interpersonal skills like negotiation, are all crucial abilities. They're not just for acing tasks, but essential in real life. I hope all of you in this module can excel and shine.